I think what the Real News Network is doing is making an essential contribution to the revitalization of a functioning democracy that can really be a government of, by, and for the people, not just in words.
The Bretton Woods Agreement in 1944 took 2 years of preparation. So obviously the second coming of Bretton Woods could not possibly happen on a single rainy day in Washington. In fact, less than 3 hours. This meeting was convened by the Bush administration months ago. The Sherpas had less than a month to organize it, and each leader of the G20 countries had only a few minutes to speak their minds. It ended in this room with a roadmap for a series of committees which will meet again in April 2009. The final communique, hammered for the past several days by several Sherpas, fell short of a sweeping set of strict new regulations on financial companies and esoteric financial products. That's what the European powers wanted. The Bush administration still insists this regulation would crush the global economy. Anyway, there will be a new college of supervisors of financial regulators from several nations, keeping watch on the largest 30 transnational banks. That's an idea floated by British Prime Minister Gordon Brown.
It's necessary to give confidence that we are cleaning up the system based on the principles of transparency and accountability.
If there was a superstar in the show, it was this man on the right, French President Nicolas Sarkozy. The summit was his idea.
L'Europe aujourd'hui a une existence politique très forte et très visible. Je suis persuadé que ça continuera sur ce train. C'est absolument capital parce que le monde a besoin d'une Europe qui existe.
Je crois que les Européens, pour une fois, sont très unis, ce qui est utile parce que l'Europe représente une force d'autant plus importante qu'elle parle de façon unie. Quand l'Europe bouge d'un seul mouvement, ça fait du poids.
On a more frivolous note, Sarkozy left Washington in a hurry, so he could spend a pleasant Saturday in New York with his glamorous wife, Carla Bruni. The summit certainly marked the end of the rich man's club, the G7. Lula from Brazil stressed that the G20 should be in charge from now on. Lula told world leaders at the White House dinner, we need more production, more jobs, and more social inclusion. In fact, that will be the agenda for the whole developing world. India, growing 7.5% this year, will increase its role as a motor of the global economy. China, after announcing a monster stimulus package, was happy there won't be so many new rules reducing its control over the yuan, which everyone agrees is undervalued. Saudi Arabia and the Emirates, they have around 1.5 trillion in capital. The IMF wants a big chunk of it. The Arabs want more say and more influence as part of the G20. So we have Saudi money and Persian Gulf money making the IMF more powerful to bail out a lot of developing countries. Japan is also worried about poorer countries. They have offered to lend $100 billion to the IMF. So the IMF is in effect the big winner of this summit, assuming the role of an international central bank. That's another formulation by Gordon Brown, the British Prime Minister. So the spotlight now turns to this man. He's in charge of helping the bulk of the world in dire straits. Dozens of countries that did not get a seat in Washington. It's not an enviable position.
La décision d'avancer est prise collectivement et dans une certaine mesure, elle a été assez largement prise au cours de ce week-end. Le FMI est prêt à aider chacun des pays qu'il souhaite à voir comment ce genre de plan peut être lancé. Ça n'est pas obligatoirement le cas dans tous les pays. Il y a des pays qui ont des situations budgétaires difficiles. Eux ne peuvent pas faire grand-chose. Il y a des pays qui ont la marge et cela doit avancer. Depuis des mois, je proposais aux Chinois de mener une action dans ce sens. Vous avez vu qu'il y a maintenant quelques jours, ils ont lancé un plan de soutien budgétaire considérable, qui est, je crois, très justifié par rapport à la situation chinoise, mais qui va être très utile aussi dans le cadre de la contribution chinoise à la croissance mondiale. Il y a d'autres marges de manœuvre qui existent dans d'autres pays, et c'est le rôle du FMI d'essayer de pousser dans ce sens.
The big question now is how these new dozens of measures to regulate financial markets worldwide will be implemented. But that's the subject of the next G20 meeting in the spring of 2009 with Barack Obama as US President. We know as much at the moment. The revamping of financial capitalism worldwide will not happen without a more centralized control of unregulated financial magic.
This is the sort of thing we can build right now without anyone else's permission from the government or from the business community. It's the power's in our hands.
If we're not going to sleepwalk into more wars and into environmental disaster, we think we need to start with a television news network that won't bow to pressure and has the courage to seek facts. And that means independent economics. And that's why we need you.
Real hope means facing a complex reality. Your tax-deductible donation makes it possible. Please contribute. Visit therealnews.com.